What's up, everybody? Welcome to Wireframe again. Good to see you. Thanks for coming. A little flustered because the camera that I tried to go to, which was this one over here, is green again, which it was totally fine for the whole time that I was setting up for this. I'm going to have to check it again, but that's okay. Today, we're going to be talking about testing design AI tools. Yeah, we're just going to go through a whole bunch of different tools and take a look and see how they do. I was testing one that I saw on the internet this morning that I was very disappointed in, unfortunately. I'm not going to name them because I was disappointed in them, so why am I going to give them any advertising? But to get started, I'd like to ask our resident AI and see how they feel about AI-generated stuff. So let's ask and see, how do you feel about AI-generated design tools? I have no sound. Oh, there we go. Okay, that was a good start there. I tried to switch to that camera, but didn't work. But just tell me more about why you think these things are going to replace humans entirely. Tell me more a little bit about that. Okay, thank you very much. I'm not sure if you heard that because I'm looking at my monitor over here and I'm like, I didn't see any audio in there. So I don't know if you've heard what AI was saying. Okay. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and pause that now because maybe I had some other connections going on. Again, we're doing it live. I'm still learning. There's lots of buttons to press. But speaking of buttons to press, let's go over to the computer and talk about what we're going to be doing today. So what I'm going to be doing is checking out a whole bunch of different design apps, and I'll explain while I'm going through this. And by the way, if you're listening on the podcast, again, I'm sorry, but I'm going to do a whole bunch of visual stuff here, so please tune in and check out what I'm doing actually here. But we're going to take a look at the computer, and what we're going to try to do is I'm going to go through this video, which was from Pavan, a designer in London, who posted this video called "I Tried Every AI Design Tool and Here Are the Results." And he's got a whole bunch of stuff that's on this screen over here. And I picked out only a few. I picked out a few of the stuff that's on the bottom here. He's got 25 of them. He picked out, I'm sure he did all these. I didn't actually go through the entire video, but I wanted just a list of stuff to try. Now, what we're going to be trying to make is one of my first apps, really. It's just about 10 years old, probably a little bit older now, by probably a few months, and it's called Delta Zeus. This design that I'm going to show you right here, this is on the web archive, so this isn't the live version of the site. In fact, my site is currently down because AWS was bothering me about billing and security and all a bunch of stuff. I'm like, look, I don't want to deal with this any longer. So eventually I will put this application back up probably using Netlify because it's a lot easier. But this was the original design, which I'm actually really happy about. It takes a lot of the motif from Fez, if you're familiar with that game. There's a level in there that has these like rounded clouds, which is what this stuff is back here. And I even had a little button that allows to turn on the rain here, which is cool. I don't know if you can see that in the video, but you get the rain on here. But the really cool thing is that you could like go over this thing and it looks like lightning, right? Which is really interesting to play around with. And in fact, when you hit the lightning thing, it actually like changes the whole look of the site, and it shows you the things called Delta Zeus, etc. When you click it, let's see if it works here. There we go. When you click it, you get this like modal thing that pops up, and it tells you, you know, some things about what this application is all about. And to talk about this application, I'll go back to me for a second, just because I want to kind of describe a little bit about why I made this. So the reason I made Delta Zeus was because I have difficulty knowing what like 72 degrees means, or what like a wind speed of 10 miles per hour feels like, right? So all of that stuff is really difficult to like maintain in my mind about what it like feels like to have a particular metric of weather. But because I've experienced a bit of weather yesterday, right, all those metrics yesterday in some capacity, I can compare yesterday's weather and today in the way that I feel about it. The way that I actually explain it to people about this application when I was building it was, if I was some deity that was able to control the weather, and I told you the weather is never going to change, would you ever need to check the weather? The answer is no, because it's going to be the same as it was yesterday. So the question I always ask is, well, why do you check the weather? And the answer is varying degrees of, because I need to prepare myself for the day, right? So that's what you're doing, is you're preparing yourself for the day. If you never went outside, then you also probably don't really care about the weather that much either. But if you're preparing for the day, you want to know, okay, what kind of clothes do I need to wear in order for me to feel comfortable when I go outside? Is it going to be muggy? Is it going to be wet? Is it going to be humid and dry or hot? Like, you need to know that kind of information. But again, the numbers don't really do a lot, at least for me. I can do a lot better by comparing what I went through yesterday with saying, look, it's going to be hotter than it was yesterday, or it's going to be windier than it was yesterday. And that's what Delta Zeus is all about. Delta Zeus doesn't necessarily tell you, like, this is the temperature today. It would instead tell you how much hotter it was, or how much hotter it is today than it was yesterday. Okay, if it's significant, because the other thing that was really important for this too was that if it's only like 2 degrees hotter today than it was yesterday, then it's not going to notify you because it's the same. It's actually only going to notify you if there's a significant change in the weather. And that was the whole basis behind this application. So there's a whole bunch of other stuff that's in the application in terms of the way that it was built for actually notifying a person. But for the sake of application development here, because this was actually running off of like RSS and stuff, so you could subscribe to things. I'm not expecting these applications that we're about to go through to, like, you know, make an app that does RSS and stuff like that. What we're kind of expecting for the apps today is basically something that's going to be a weather app. But the important thing is that it's going to only tell us the difference of the weather between yesterday and today, right? So is it 10 degrees hotter? Is it, you know, going to be, I guess, a higher % chance of rain? Is it windier, and by how much, right? So like that's the kind of information that I'm looking for from this application, right? So that's the baseline of what I'm looking for. I don't really care necessarily about design from a aesthetic point of view at this moment right now. I just want to see if these apps understand what I'm going for in terms of what my needs are as a user, right? So that's what I'm basically going for. So I have a whole bunch of apps that are up here. The first one, I'm going to go to the computer here, is Lovable. So let's take a look at Lovable here. And I've already logged into all these, so let's give this a shot. All right, let's see. Create a weather app that notifies the user when the weather has a significant change between yesterday and today. Use metrics like temperature and humidity, for example. I've also spelled some stuff wrong. What's going on here? Is Grammarly just playing around? Oh, I don't want to sign in, thanks. Temperature, I'm sure you'll figure this out. I don't need to actually spell these things correctly. Let's see what it does. All right, so I imagine this is going to take a little while. It's thinking about how I just talked about, or what I'm asking for here. I haven't used almost any of these. I think I used Vzero by Vercel probably when it first came out, just to, again, play around with it a little bit. And then we're going to eventually go to Stitch, which is toward the end here, which is Google's version of this, which I actually did try this prompt months ago, or a similar prompt like this months ago, to see how that works. I guess since this is cooking, maybe we'll go to the next one and see if that does anything. Hopefully I'm allowed to do this. All right, create a weather app that notifies the user on significant weather changes, not just reporting today's weather. I'm going to make a couple different kinds of things here. Use lots of metrics. Sorry, I'm going to explain what I wrote here. Create a weather app that notifies the user on significant weather changes, not just reporting today's weather. It should say it's 10 degrees hotter today, for example. Use lots of metrics for weather, like humidity. Let's try that. Okay. All right. It's thinking. All right. So this is actually really nice for Vzero in particular, because it's actually like giving me a response. The feedback is really good, right? At Lovable, let's go back to Lovable, see what it's done. Absolutely nothing. Great. See, at least in Vzero, it's like giving me some feedback that it's like, okay, I'm going to be building some stuff here. I'm going to be fetching some weather or whatever. Cool. Like, it looks like it's actually building something, which is pretty cool. Okay. Let's just I think I like this prompt app, actually. So let's go ahead and plop this in to some of the other ones. So this is going to be magic patterns. Let's just paste that right in there and see what happens. Okay, you're going to immediately make me go through some sort of onboarding. Great, wonderful. I don't really want my thing. Okay, here, we're just going to, I'm a founder. And how did I hear about you? YouTube. Great. Finish. Thank you. Can I just use your app? Thank you. All right. What does it say? Okay, so again, feedback here, other than the onboarding stuff that I really don't like, but I want to just jump into something. It's doing a little bit of thinking, I guess. It's creating some application of some sort. So let's keep moving here. This is Figma Make. And we're going to go ahead and, again, paste that prompt in there and hit go. And now Figma's thinking, and they had a cute little design icon that was up there on the left. It's doing some response here. This is cool. All right, so this is cooking on something. Let's go back to Lovable and see if it's doing anything. Not a thing. All right, so let's put in that prompt that I just put in for all the other places and see if that cooks anything. Okay, Lovable's just thinking. I don't even see the original thing I wrote here anymore. Okay, yeah, whatever I wrote originally was just gone. I don't know why that's like that, but okay. Let's go over to, this is Subframe, okay? And, oh, I gotta select themes and stuff? Okay, well, let's see here. Let's go with this VS Code thing. I don't know. Cool, let's do that. Sure. Let's go next. Okay. All right. This is my new design. Here we go. It's interesting in Subframe that it was like asking me the style, which is cool. So it already even has like a dashboard, but the dashboard is like kind of generic. All right, so this is thinking. Oh, it's giving me a couple of different options potentially. Now let's go over to Stitch. This is by Google. I'm going to put in the same prompt in here. And let's just generate for web, I guess, and generate. All right. And then the last one I'm going to put in here is bolt.new. All right, we'll put in this one here. Hit go. All right. And Bolt is thinking no feedback, other than, of course, changing here what the UI looks like. All right, so let's go. Okay, it's writing some things. Okay, so let's actually look and see what's been done so far. All right, so Lovable actually returned something back now that I actually put in the prompt again. Okay, and what it's done is it's given me a little like dashboard here, and it's asking for the Open Weather Map API key and the city name and to get the weather. Now, I think that can make some sense, right? Is like, imagine, you don't want to pay for the open weather map for whatever reason, or you want to do rate limiting or something like that. You want to have a person put in their API key such that they could like subscribe to the service. So that could be making some sense. I want to see what they wrote here. They created a weather app that tracks significant changes from previous days. It monitors temperature, pressure, wind stability, blah, blah, blah. Then notifies you when there are notable differences like centigrade. Okay, that's what I basically said. So let's ask, what would it look like when it is 10 degrees hotter? All right, so I'm going to ask, I want to see what it expects the notification kind of thing to look like in this page, because yeah, I understand like the login situation is good, but I want to see what it thinks I mean by change in weather. Let's go to Vzero. All right, this thing says weather tracker. And it says significant weather changes. It is what? Okay. It is 11.20112023610778 Fahrenheit hotter than yesterday. Pressure is rising by 0.2 in, so like mercury, UV index is 2 higher than yesterday. And then we have this stuff that's down here that's like, okay, so we need a little bit of two fixeds going on over here, because this is not great, but okay, I guess this is, oh my goodness gracious. But, okay, this isn't terrible from Vzero. I actually kind of do like the icons that are showing that it's going up for these things. Those are actually kind of nice. And then what else here? It has the actual, I guess, values down here, which is, I think is interesting. I think it's good to know what the actual values are. I forget what Delta Zeus did, if it actually gave you what the value is, and if it was higher. I think it did both, actually. Yeah, I think it said that if it was 11 degrees hotter than yesterday, and it'll also say, like, what the actual temperature is, if you wanted to know. Let's look at the things that it wrote over here in Vzero. Let's see here. It says key features, has smart change detection. So the app compares current weather with yesterday's data, identifies significant changes. That's exactly what this app is supposed to do. Fantastic. The metrics are temperature, humidity, and dew point, wind speed, direction, atmospheric pressure, UV index, visibility, sunrise, sunset times. Well, sunrise, sunset, I don't know. Is that helpful? Maybe. Maybe that's okay. Intelligent notifications, shows alerts for severity levels. Okay, so basically how severe the change is. That's an interesting idea, right? Because like, if it's only a few degrees, it's not a big deal. But if it's much higher in terms of degrees, then there's like a severity thing that it talks about there. Comparative analysis, side-by-side comparison showing each metric differs from yesterday with color-coded indicators. All right, so what is that? Do I see that here? Oh, here's the comparison. Okay, yeah. So that's something similar to what I had in my application as well. It showed you what the difference was. And I like the color coded. That's idea. That's a good idea. And then user-friendly interface, yeah, a gradient background, nobody cares. Visual hierarchy, sure, okay with cards. Responsive design, I'm not going to check. And loading states, interactive elements, okay, great. And then yeah, so Vzero actually did pretty good with this. I'll say I'm gonna say that it actually was a pretty good try. Let's go over to Magic Patterns and see what they did. Very similar from the visual that we got from Vzero. The unfortunate kind of thing that I'm seeing immediately is the first thing on top here says the actual temperature of today. And again, that's not really the point for me. It's much more about like, you know, what has changed today. I don't necessarily care what the temperature is right now. I just care what the change is. So there's weather change alerts that are here, which is like, okay, that's, I wouldn't necessarily be like, these are really important right now. Like, you know, this is, you know, it's not like a flash flood that's about to happen, which is actually just happening here in New York. But I wouldn't necessarily say that the treatment for the weather change alerts is accurate here. But the cards on the bottom is actually pretty good. Again, I would like to see the numbers that are on the bottom right-hand corner be more pronounced than the stuff that's you know, actually shown in the card. So as an example, the temperature being 6 degrees higher being the front and center, and then what the actual temperature is, and maybe even yesterday's temperature too, I think would be more subdued. I think I would do that better. But this is also pretty good. This is also pretty good. I'm actually pretty impressed by that. Let's look at Figma Make. Okay, Figma Make, very interesting. As a side note, when Figma did introduce AI into their applications a few years ago for the first time, I tried this similar prompt, and it was very disappointing because it was just like a regular app, weather app. But let's see what we have here. So it looks like this is really just, again, giving us the weather at the top here. So I'm just like, okay, great, you made another weather app. Nobody cares. But here's the weather changes on the bottom. And the weather changes here, it says, okay, 12 degrees hotter than yesterday. Pressure is falling by 0.2 in mercury. And then wind speed decreased by 7 miles per hour. So this area here is kind of what the app's supposed to really be. And it's okay. I'm glad that it figured it out at some point in this whole thing. What else is in this app? I mean, there's stuff on the bottom here. Oh, it kind of explains what this app's all about. Okay, ooh, this graph actually works and stuff. That's pretty cool. All right, I don't want to read this stuff over here because apparently you have to super base something or other. Yeah, that's all right. And what am I looking at here? Oh, I could choose between these things. Okay, let's take a look at Subframe. Subframe has made 4 different possibilities here. And I'm looking at this, and it looks like it wants to like heavily show me some like graph related stuff, which I guess that's interesting. But again, like for just telling me like what the difference of weather is, I don't know if a graph is exactly what I need here. But I'm looking at the low fidelity parts of this, and this first one here, this just kind of looks like a regular weather dashboard. I don't really see anything in here that's like, you know, here's the difference. You know, it's saying temperature change here, but the thing here is this is the actual temperature, so not really interesting. This one up over here, same problem. We basically have just the temperatures being listed here, and then there's changes in the last 24 hours. It says, yeah, I guess that's yesterday. But, and I guess they're using color coding to figure out which one is actually important, but it looks like it wants to list everything. This one seems to be a little bit closer because I could see that it has the actual increases, but again, it's not highlighting that this is like, you know, a significant change versus another one, and then this one doesn't even have anything. So let's try this thing. Can I click this? Is this going to let me do something? Okay. Oh, this just goes into it. Okay. All right. Well, I get away to just apply design, I guess. I guess we'll try that. All right. Now ask follow-up, I guess. Okay. So if I was going to ask, what was the follow-up I asked at Lovable? Let's find out what I did with Lovable. I said, Oh, what would it look like when it's 8 degrees hotter? Okay, so that's what we asked over there. Where was that subframe we were looking at? So how would I? What would be the thing that I would ask this? I guess I would say I don't need graphs. I need the difference in these metrics and to notify the user when they are significant. I'm awful with that word. All right, let's try that. All right, let's let that run a little bit. Let's go over to Stitch and see what it did. You want more information, apparently. It says, could you please list the screens you'd like for this weather app? For example, you might want a screen for current weather conditions, screen for detailed forecasts, and a screen for weather alert notifications. No, actually, I only want one screen. I want one screen that lists the weather changes that are significant. All right, let's see if Stitch figures that out. And let's go for Bolt. Okay, Bolt has produced something. And actually, this is kind of a mix between, I think, what Lovable gave and also what the other ones that were doing fairly well gave. Basically, you have this idea where you have, whatever location you want to start with. You use my location, which is very close to what I had in my original application. My original application would use geolocation or your zip code to figure out what location you want to talk about. So that's pretty cool. And then let's go down a little bit farther here. Let me go here. Let's see. Here we go. Weather changes from yesterday. Okay, so there's like a notification situation here. And then this is the actual temperature and humidity and all this other stuff. I don't know what the mist is doing here. It's a little weird that like temperature is here and then there's like other things that are down here that are at different hierarchy levels, but not to mention that the UV index situation being the thing that's actually going up or down, that's like also listed here, but okay. But at least it's got, like, again, some significant change, right? That's what we're looking for here, is that we want the significant change situation over here, which is cool. All right, let's go back to the other ones that we're trying to work here. So, can I hit try demo? Let's see. Okay. So now we're talking. All right, so it made like a little toast situation here to tell you when there's a weather change. Let's look down here. So this is the kind of thing that I'm talking about. It's like we would want significant changes from yesterday. I don't know if I would say from yesterday, but maybe it's a different wording that's here. But this is really the app that we're talking about. The temperature is 10 higher. Can't tell if it's Fahrenheit or Celsius. This is humidity's 20 lower. Not sure if that actually makes sense because the 40% is what we're looking for there. Pressure is 12 higher. Pressure is this thing. So yeah, it's missing the units here to determine how high or lower it is. Again, I do like that it's giving me, the severity level of how severe the change actually is, which is pretty cool. So yeah, that's not terrible. That's not terrible. All right, Vzero we already looked at for updates. I want to see, was it Subframe? Oh yeah, Subframe we were working at. All right, so let's see, what did Subframe do? Okay. Okay, so I said don't need graphs, focus app. Okay, so it gave me a couple more things here, and these kind of look similar. Okay, I think I like this one the most. Let's go ahead and get into this for a second because this one actually, I mean, we don't need this thing, but we just kind of like need this situation, right? Like what's going on over here is saying, okay, here's the change. This is significant change. This is no change. But again, it's like listing everything out where I guess this is the thing that I'm really looking for is like, give me this, which is the high humidity warning. Like, okay, it's a critical humidity is high. Well, everything else which is listed. So I'd much rather see the humidity warning up at the top, right? That's a warning, and then list out all the other stuff that's not really important or less severe or less of a change below. I think that makes a lot more sense. Go ahead and apply this to the design. What's going on here? Okay. Okay, cool. Okay. All right. You know what? Not terrible. Oh, we got Stitch. I almost forgot about Stitch. What is Stitch doing here? Okay. Weather-wise. All right, so it says that they have significant weather changes. This thing looks like it's a Notion page of some sort. And there's 4 things that it says. The first thing, it says temperature increase by 10 Fahrenheit. And then it also includes humidity, wind speed, and precipitation inside the temperature increase for some reason. It's heavy rainfall, and then humidity, wind speed, and precipitation is inside of there. Okay, and then strong winds, humidity, wind speed, precipitation is in there, and then low humidity, 20 humidity, wind speed, and precipitation is in there. So yeah, close to something. I would like to think that Stitches probably did the worst here, because it's not really, this might as well be a Notion page. Doesn't really look like an app, and nor would I say that it was giving us any kind of indication of, a notification being like, hey, this is the thing that's important, don't worry about the other things, because this looks like it's like listing off all of the things, and it's not even telling you what things really are changing, like heavy rainfall expected, and then it doesn't say by how much. It just says 1.5 inches today. It's not comparing it to yesterday, which is exactly what I'm like looking for. So, not great. So I would put Stitch at the bottom here in terms of the ones that I'm trying out. Lovable is interesting. For me, I needed to prompt it a little bit more to like get the idea, right? Like is to tell me exactly what's going to be going on here. So like Lovable was like okay, but I'm not as impressed with Lovable as much as I think a lot of the other people that are out there, based on this one thing that I did. Vzero, I'm actually fairly impressed with, other than this crazy decimal points that are going on in here, because again, I think the thing that I'm looking for is like how much does it understand what I'm going for, and the fact that the significant weather changes are at the top here. Plus, showing the severity and the things that are actually the changes that are important, and putting all the other bull stuff bull on the bottom is really nice. And then Magic Patterns, it figured out it was a weather app, and that's basically it. Again, it's missing the idea of like being important about this stuff, but it like change. How do I say about this? The way that it's expressing the significant weather changes as like warnings is wrong. Like, I don't think it's as severe as being a warning. Like, if we go back to Vzero, right, it's not saying that it's, maybe it's doing this a little bit, but maybe even not. Like, even just changing the color of this would reduce it down. But this doesn't show me as severe as in Magic Patterns. And I'm nitpicking a little bit there, because at least they both kind of similarly did the same thing. But again, looking back over here, the weather changes is the forefront. Up here, it's giving me the actual weather at the top, which I don't like either. But it's not terrible. And again, because I only needed to prompt it once to get this, I like that part about it. For Figma Make, again, it's a little bit similar to the Magic Patterns, where they just kind of gave me the weather up front. In this particular case, it gave me just a lot of weather up front, so it's not really exposing exactly what I wanted. Up the top, although it did talk about weather changes, which was good. So that's cool. Also, setting up Supabase in here is interesting. I don't know if I would want to set up Supabase through Figma Make necessarily, but okay. Subframe, I'm a little lost in Subframe. Like, here's the thing. I would really like to, I like the idea of like getting started, right? Where you're like, okay, give me the theme and give me the general gist, and then I could build the app around it. But I feel like it goes a little bit too far into the get started stuff, because like I'm not really making a dashboard necessarily as much as I'm making something that's like just gonna be a thing that I check in the morning. And I know that sounds like a dashboard, but it's not something that it really needs like a lot of like navigation as an example, or you know the data visualizations necessarily. I think it starts this up a little too deep into, you know, an app, I guess. I mean, like a full-fledged application that you have logins and stuff like that. I'm sure that's like helpful there, but for like trying to just make a simple app for yourself or, you know, just to share, I don't think it works out. Stitch we already know is like the worst here. And then Bolt was also not bad, right? I mean, sure, the design that was going on down here is a little bit questionable, certainly, but the overall kind of up top part here is actually fairly good, right? Because it's one of the ones that, like, if we look at some of the other ones here, like this one we already saw said like you have to find out where the hell you are. In Vzero, it also asks where you are, which is good. Here in Magic Patterns, it doesn't have an opportunity to ask where you are. It just assumes that you're in New York. Same thing with Figma Make. Subframe is unclear about where I would actually put that in. Forget about Stitch. And then Bolt.new, which is, again, the last one they were just talking about now. I think the ability to enter your location or use my location is really good, which, again, is something that was part of my app originally. So I think Bolt got closer in a little bit of a case. I mean, it also depends a little bit on this because it does say showing weather for New York here. You would kind of like, I don't know, maybe assume that it would be here potentially. I'm not sure. Because one of the possibilities here that I used to use Delta Zeus for was to put in a location that I was traveling to, and then I would get notifications for that location as well. So that's not necessarily where I am. It's, you know, another thing that I would get notifications for. So anyway, that's how I feel about all of that. I think they're better than they used to be, right? Because, like I said, I used, I think, Figma's original AI, and I think I also might have used one of the other ones. I'm forgetting which one. Oh, Vzero, a while ago, and gotten a little bit disappointed in it. But as it stands right now, I think this is really good when it comes to some of the iterative kind of design process, right? None of these would be designs that I would take right off the bat. None of them, right? But they do give some good ideas about what to include in the application, right? So like we saw a couple of things where it was showing like severity, right? Where the difference between yesterday and today is actually really severe. It's not just significant, it's like severe. Like you really need to pay attention to this. So I think that's really nice. I think, what else was in there that was good? Let's see here. Using color was pretty good as an idea. I mean, you might think that that was like, oh, obviously, but using the color, saying that it was going up and down. Who was that? One of these people was one of these places. Yeah, this is one of them that was using color that was going up and down. Let's see here. I'm going to actually close Subframe and Stitch because I actually didn't really like them that much. In terms of that particular response. What do we have here? Come on, go down. All right, so there's nothing in this one that shows up or down necessarily. Let's look at Vzero. Vzero had that. Magic Patterns had up and down, and then Figma Make. Did that have up and down? I don't see it. No, so I'm going to close that also. And then Lovable. This also had up and down, yeah. Yeah, so Lovable is actually showing the up and down and the severity on top of it as well, which is pretty cool. So that's an interesting little part in there. But yeah, I think that's all I'll say about it. It's varying degrees of success in terms of ideas for what the app should include. But again, I wouldn't take this as an app directly. I'm kind of wondering, like, you know, what it would take for me to continue prompting on one of these to get to a point that I was like, oh, okay, this is exactly what I want. You know, I'm kind of wondering, like, okay, if I choose one of these, like, which one's the closest one? I guess, let's see here. So we had Lovable, Vzero, Magic Patterns, and then Bolt. I'm going to say that Magic Patterns was less that I wanted. Let's see what Bolt was. Bolt was pretty close, but it didn't have the up and down stuff. And then this was okay, and then eventually, I guess well, yeah, Lovable's not terrible. I mean, again, it has like the current weather on top and not this one, so it's not terrible, but I do like that it started off with this and gave me the demo. But yeah, I feel like I would choose either Lovable, Vzero, or Bolt to see what it would do. I mean, admittedly, with Lovable, I needed to prompt it a little bit more, but for Vzero, I only prompted it once, and then I think for Bolt, I only prompted it once too. So those are pretty significant as well. And Vzero's been around for a while also. I know I used that for a long time. But yeah, I kind of wonder what it would take, you know, if I was going to try to go ahead and make Delta Zeus over again somehow, if I was to try to like prompt it the whole way through and what that would look like. I think that's an interesting idea. But for the sake of our experiment today, like I said, I think these three, Lovable, Vzero, and Bolt, did a pretty good job in terms of iterating over the features of a potential application. But none of these are ones that would be like, yep, let's ship that, right? Because like, especially from the experience that I've had building Delta Zeus, and don't get me wrong, what I showed in Delta Zeus, which I'll bring back up again, the experience here is also not great, right? Like the experience here, this is, again, a 10-year-old app. This is the app that I made to actually just get a job, right? Like when I was trying to figure out how to break into tech and actually make websites for a living, this is one of the things that I made such that like you could, you know, see the creativity behind it. And, but, you know, in retrospect, as interesting as, you know, this kind of design is and how like, you know, experiential it is with the whole like, you know, flash of lightning thing and the modal that pops down, you know, it's definitely interesting, but in terms of it being strictly usable, it's questionable, right? So there's a little bit of a balance that we always talk about between do we want something to be you know, pretty and experiential, or do we want it to be usable? And I've since, of course, from this kind of design, gravitated myself more toward usable at this point because I am a user, right? That's what I'm all about. So I certainly want to make things look good, but it's a form follows function mentality, right? The function needs to come first, and then that form is going to follow. So it's important for me to make sure that the expectation as a product is at the forefront, and then we could add, you know, our expressions on top of it, you know. So I think I would love to bring back the idea of like, you know, the rainstorm and the lightning and stuff like that, bearing in mind, of course, reduced motion and things of that nature, but which I didn't know about back then, right? I didn't know a lot about those kind of accessibility details, but I think it's still an interesting idea to bring those kinds of things into the fold. Anyway, so hopefully that was interesting to you folks, learning about this stuff. I'm actually more impressed than I was this morning, because again, when I was talking with this new design app, I was wildly disappointed. It actually only let me prompt 5 times, and in the first 3 prompts, it completely misunderstood what the weather app was supposed to do, right? Because a lot of places, you know, have specific ideas of what a weather app should be, and this is very much not that. But after it finally generated something, it ended up generating a blank page, and it was like, okay, what did you just show me? So I'm like, hey, this is a blank page. And then it generated another page, but the whole page was just now black instead of white. And then it was like, it's a blank page, and it was like, your credits are up. So I'm like, that's not a good experience at all, right? So if you're gonna have these like test things out there, be sure that there's, you know, something on the page if you're gonna have me run out of credits. But what are you gonna do? Anyway, again, thanks for watching today. I appreciate you listening in or watching, hopefully watching, because I was showing off a whole bunch of stuff today. And thanks for joining me. And again, this is, you know, just a live kind of setup. We're doing it live. I also noticed that the camera over here was nice and blurry. That was really cool. I don't know what that's all about, but we'll get things moving hopefully shortly. Oh, God. One-man show. What is it going to be? Anyway, play nice in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.